The idea that you have the commissioners rotate each year by district, I like that. I think that's a great idea. And the other thing is, what is your opinion on all these new developments that keep building in the county when the schools are already overcrowded and we have over 200 trailers around the schools? I don't like these trailers. You know, I don't think that students have to, well, they've been doing it for years, run in and out in the rain and snow and all from the inside school to the trailer, from this trailer to that trailer. I don't like that. Yeah. And, you know, and I would rather see them add on to the schools than to have all these trailers all around the schools. Right. So.
Well, there's several issues, Violet. Number one, I share your concern about trailers, but I share it with another thing, and that's a safety issue. The world we live in today, unfortunately, can be dangerous. And it worries me that some of those kids are in trailers and they don't have the same security that the kids that are in the building do. And that's a great concern to me. Number two, and we started this, is that when you're talking about the building, historically in the county, if you got your building plans through and you got your sites approved and so forth, you can sit on that almost in perpetuity before you ever build it. You can just, so they just stack up and stack up and stack up and stack up. So someone could get something approved in 2004, and here we are 11 years later, and they haven't done one, shovel of dirt. They haven't turned one shovel of dirt, and then they may decide to do it. Well, guess what? The rules are different now. All those years later, it's a different Charles County. So I know the county has started to change that to, in other words, if you haven't started by a certain period of time, then you're off the rolls and you got to go back. And that does two things. It helps us to manage growth better, and it also gets to the very issue that you're talking about, and that's the school seats. Because if these people, they've already been given their seats allocation, and they just hold on to those, and they hold on to those, and they hold on to those. And then they all pile up, and then if it gets to be good and they say it's time to develop, that's where we run into the problem. So we're working on that very issue. In fact, the staff did it, I think a year ago. They changed that policy a bit in our meeting just yesterday. When we talked to the planning growth manager, we said, we're going to revisit that. We think there's maybe a better way to do that. Because historically what happens is they would just give people extensions. So you'd get your plan approved and you might be able to hold that for, I don't remember how many years. And then at the end of those years, if you haven't done anything, they just extend it again, another 4 or 8 years or whatever, and again and again. And that is not fair to the people that are ready to build, and it's not fair to our schools in terms of how do you keep track of how many seats have been allocated. So all that's connected, and we're working on that. So I don't think anybody's ever really taken, I know they haven't taken a look at that before. So we're going to, one of the things about government that I find this to be, this is one of the parts I really enjoy about this, and that's putting all these pieces together. And I said it yesterday in our public meeting. I said, on the school seats, I said, you're asking us to make a decision in a vacuum, when in fact it's a bigger picture. And so we want the big picture. We want to know that when we make this decision, how does it impact all these things around here? And we've got to start thinking smarter and looking at government differently. Because believe it or not, you know this, many of the things that you're seeing today, all these houses being built and stuff like that didn't happen on my watch. And it probably didn't happen on the last watch either. That was probably 12 years ago or whatever, and now it's coming through. So I'm being very careful that whatever I leave behind, or whatever this administration leaves behind, it's going to be, you're going to see a different outcome down the road.
That would be an interesting point. From the time that a development is approved to the time it's actually developed, how long do they have?
Well, up till recently, Jill, it was whenever. They kept giving extensions, there was no. And now that's been changed. The other thing that's come up too, and we're going to take a look at is, because we raised this issue yesterday, is that you might have someone that was approved for 20 homes, let's say, and they've only developed 8. And then they stopped. Well, my thinking about that, what we talked about was, what about the people that bought those 8 homes thinking they were going to be moving into a development with 20, and they saw the big plan, and they saw what this development was supposed to look like, and now they're stuck with all these empty lots or whatever it is. So we have some work to do. But now you've got a board of commissioners that are really looking at that. and seeing how are the policies and things that we've had, how are those good for the county, and how do we need to change some things? And so that's why I say it's my really objective is to have our county commissioners set the policy for those things, and then let our staff go ahead and do the work.
Is it going to be within your authority to change that?
Yes, we can work on that.
Is that right?
Yeah, we can do that. Yes,
I have a question. I'm not suggesting that you do this or that we do this, but is there anything in place or any system whereby a moratorium, if you so chose, could be put in place?
you know, and I don't know the answer to that. I mean, that's come up, people have asked about that. I think there, so I don't know. But I do think if you look at, and we've asked for that, I want to know how many permits are approved. What's in the pipeline?
Yes.
I understand it's in the thousands, you know? And so you need to look at that and look at the adequate public facilities ordinance and say, if those happen, can we handle them? So I think that's the way you do it, is you get people looking at that and saying, you may have that development, but we don't have the roads for that. We don't have the schools for that. And that also means the county commissioners working closer with the board, with the planning commission. And I'll be meeting with the president of the county planning commission soon and develop that relationship. We're not permitted, nor is it our intent to interfere with their job. They have a job to do, but we do need to have a relationship with them. So I think there are ways to really be just smart about how you do it, and I don't know that that would be an option. Yeah, because I don't know about the constitutionality of that and all that kind of stuff. And you have to be sensitive to looking at some of these folks that are developing it have put a lot of money up to a certain point. So I'm very sensitive to that, and we've got to be considerate of that as well. So, but our plans look at the whole picture, not just, you know, piecemeal. So, yeah. Virginia, you were going to